What's up, Average Dad fans? Welcome back to another video, and today it's all about the OPPO Find X6 Pro. This is my full review after 2 weeks living with this new device from the Chinese giants that are OPPO. Let's go. So first things first, let's talk design. The Find X6 Pro is a stunning mobile phone that, in my opinion, takes the first prize in the design category for Phone of the Year in 2023. Yes, we're only 4 months in, but trust me, no one will top this brown and silver in particular variant with its vegan leather back, its Gorilla Glass Victus 2 screen, that huge camera ring on the back that, yes, has been done before by a couple of manufacturers, particularly Xiaomi and the 12S Ultra. But the outer ring, that knurled outer ring that every time I look at it looks like it should twist for focus or racking, which, shout out OPPO, would be a really good idea for future. Like, imagine just holding the camera and you could adjust the focus. Anyway, you can't do that, and that's okay because I'm talking about design. This is stunning. Now, obviously, along with design comes the front of the phone. It's hard to make displays look better than they already do year on year. However, OPPO have done their best with this WQHD Plus display with 120Hz LTPO3 technology, so 1Hz all the way to 120, which has really significant battery life ramifications. Stay tuned for battery life facts. What's up, guys? I'm just in the middle of editing this video and I realised I never talked about the 2,500 nits of brightness, which is one of OPPO's key unique selling points of the device, so I've done a bit of a disservice to OPPO. 2,500 nits of brightness, the brightest display on any phone in the world, and ultimately you could be in the sun and still read the display. Nearly. Back to the video. Other than that, it's a mobile phone. It charges with USB-C. Again, we'll talk about charging speeds. It's got aluminium all the way around. This phone does come in 2 other variants and they're glossy. It's a black and green. Still look great, but again, this colour in particular just works. And when you're holding it without a case, it's grippy. It's not going to go anywhere. And that camera ring, actually, that's where your finger goes. You've always got your finger underneath the camera ring, so it's not going anywhere. If you are worried about the phone slipping out your hand, fear not, OPPO shipped the case with the phone. Yes, this case ships with the phone and it looks exactly like the phone. I love that. They haven't just shipped a TPU silicone clear case that's going to go yellow and feel disgusting after months and months of use. They have shipped a branded colour matching case, which again feels like vegan leather. Top marks to OPPO on design. Now, as far as battery life, I said I'd talk about it and I'm going to talk about it now. This phone ships with a 100 watt charger. This phone does charge at 100 watts and it will charge from dead to 100% in under 30 minutes. Yes, I have tested it. It absolutely works. Actually used my 120 watt charger and I know it says it's maxed at 100 watts. I think that 120 watts made it a bit quicker than even OPPO stated. Who knows? Now, it's a 5,000 milliamp hour battery and it lasts. I want to shout out Snapdragon though, because as much as OPPO have done wonders with the charging speeds and the battery capacity, it's truly the Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 chip this year that has just gone leaps and bounds above any other Android SoC that's ever been around. Now, particular shout out and note has to go to the Samsung S23 Ultra. If you've gone from the S21 or S22 Ultra to the S23 and you've watched any of the reviews or my review video on this device, you will know that the 8 Gen 2 chip has just blown efficiency out the water when it comes to Android. And in the case of the S23 Ultra, even iOS, the S23 Ultra's battery life is better than the iPhone 14 Pro Max. The Find X6 Pro battery life is comparable to the S23 Ultra. So what ultimately that means to you and I in day-to-day usage, if you forget to charge this device at the end of a long day, don't worry, because you'll more than likely get through most of the next day on that very same charge. That's thanks to the 8 Gen 2 chip. Now this phone does charge wirelessly at 50 watts, and yeah, battery capacity, life, charging speeds is all A+. So far you've got an A+ design, an A+ battery life, an A++ SoC, that 8 Gen 2 chip. What else is left? Well, as you may or may not know, the OPPO Find X6 Pro will not get a global release. That means you have to import the phone from China, and that in itself has some software implications. So what I'm going to talk about now is true to the OPPO Find X6 Pro, sadly, because it's not getting a global version, but it's not necessarily OPPO's fault. It's just what the region, it's what China demands from its phone suppliers over there. They have a different way of doing things. They definitely err on the side of getting the most out of their battery. Like, I am sure the way they set up their phones, they're looking for like 2 minimum out of one charge, 2 days minimum out of one charge. We just don't do that here in the West. We want to use 120 Hz, we want to use WQHD+, we want to just get the most out of the phone. And the reason I say that is because when it comes to the Chinese ROM, it will absolutely put battery life first. How? Well, notifications will not get pushed through. They just won't. You'll have to go in app by app into the battery life settings and make sure they're all set to high performance, and all the important apps that you want to receive messages from put to auto start. Otherwise, you just will not get your notifications in a timely manner at all. The other thing that the phone will automatically want to do is just force close all your apps. So every time you go back into an app like Instagram or WhatsApp or whatever it is you want to use, it will have to restart. Now, because of the 8 Gen 2 chip, it's instant, but it won't kind of leave you off where you'd left. Now, for example, on a Western phone, like the S23 Ultra, if I go into my app list, all the apps are there that I've been using. If I go into the OPPO, and I'll do this here, it's kind of shut down most of them. So if I go into photos, it took a while, but it's eventually loaded up. And that's me having already changed the settings, remember. So straight out the box, you're going to have to spend an hour tweaking the phone. Delete all the bloatware as well. Part of the software, delete all the bloatware. You don't need it. Delete all the Chinese writing. And if you want, you can disable the left-hand screen. So from your home screen, when you swipe right, so from here, you've got this screen here. It's up to you if you want to keep it. What you can't get is Google Home because it's a Chinese ROM. You will have to install the Play Store. These are all things that you have to do on every Chinese ROM phone. Now they are easy to do. You can see the Play Store is here. It's the Play Store. It's not sideload. It's just a normal Play Store app that you download from the OPPO store, and it'll work just the same. As soon as you log into your Google account, your apps are there. Your backup history is all there. It's fine. It's just another step that you have to take compared to the Samsungs and iPhones of the world that do have that global ROM. So just be wary of that. Another thing I want to talk about, because I think it's important, is just real life use. Using this phone has been just smooth. If I could pick one word, smooth would definitely cover it. Because of that silky 120 Hz, because of the dimensions of the phone as well, this is considerably thinner. Bear in mind I've got a case just now. Let's take the case off. This is considerably thinner than the iPhone and Samsung S23 Ultra. It's narrower than both phones as well. So it's a true one-handed, like you can get your thumb across the whole display. It's a true one-handed phone. For me anyway. Maybe for you it's a two-handed phone still. And that just works. That absolutely works for me. And also, because it's a larger phone, 6.7 inches, multitasking is easy. There's actually a multitasking mode. And because it's ColorOS, the customization that you can do, let me just pop this case back on because this phone is not mine. This phone has been purchased by some lucky viewer already. You know who you are. But yeah, you can customize and personalize this phone to your heart's content, from the always on display to the fingerprint animation to the charging animation. It's all customizable, and that's another positive about ColorOS and the skin that's running on top of Android 13. So all the Android 13 features along with ColorOS make this a very reliable and smooth phone to use. Now, the last thing I want to touch on my review, and I've done a full camera test video on this, a full camera comparison between this and the iPhone and the Samsung. I just want to show you again some of the photo stills I got from here and the video. So take a look at these and then I'll kind of recap the camera. The camera is outstanding. It's a triple camera setup. It's got 50 megapixel main, 50 megapixel ultra wide, and a 50 megapixel 3x optical zoom lens with 6x hybrid. I'm going to go out and say that the 6x hybrid is basically a 6x optical. The clarity and sharpness and quality of the 6x photos is outstanding, if a little bright sometimes. Because of the 1-inch sensor, I do feel that sometimes it makes what you want, a moodier or darker photo, it makes it sometimes too bright. Now you can tweak the brightness, the ISO, you can do all that in the settings in the Pro mode, but if you're just quickly snapping a shot, sometimes it can come out too bright. But when this phone gets it right, which is 9 times out of 10, the pictures are as good, if not better, than the Samsungs and iPhones of the world. Again, check out my comparison video, link up here or in description, and let me know what you think. The one drawback for this and most Chinese smartphones, and actually now that I'm thinking about it, the Xiaomis, the Vivos, the Oppos of the world, again, it must just be the market, but they clearly do not put selfies as a high priority. They can spend all the money they want on the back, but for some reason they still insist on putting a 1080p front-facing selfie camera. Now for me, I'm ugly in 4K, 1080p or 720p. I don't care. But for a lot of people, not having 4K video recording like I am using on my iPhone 14 Pro Max to make this video right now is a bit of a bummer. And I completely get that. For the price, and I will get to that, but for the price, just make it a 4K camera. What I would say though, again, you'll see it in the comparison, and I'll tell you now, the photos and videos that the front-facing camera produce are quality. They are great. They're just not quite as good as the iPhone or the Samsung S23 Ultras of the world. Now, the last thing I want to talk about regarding the X6 Pro is the price. As I've already said, if you watch any of my videos, you know this. You have to import the device from one of my trusted suppliers, Wanda, Gizstop, Trinity Electronics, Trading Shenzhen, or Blue Iode. You have to import it, and you may be charged an import tax, anything between £40 and £80, or $40 and $80, depending where you're buying it from. But the actual price of the phone is cheaper than what you'd pay if it was getting a global release. So I ended up paying just under £1,100, including delivery, and I didn't get charged any import tax. So for just under £1,100, I got the 512 gigabytes of storage and the 16 gigabytes of RAM. Now, that's UFS 4.0 speeds, and it's DDR5X RAM. So the A++ of both storage and memory you're getting for just under £1,100. For context and for comparison, this S23 Ultra, which is 512 gigabytes of storage and 12 gigabytes of RAM, UFS 4.0 and DDR5X, but this was £1,400 in the UK, or is still, it's only a month old, £1,400 in the UK. So for a little over £300 in savings, you're getting the OPPO Find X6 Pro. Now, which one you prefer, which ROM, global or Chinese ROM you prefer, is completely up to you. But there are savings to be made if you're importing a device. And I've said it again, and I'll mention it again because I always like to highlight this. When you're buying the Find X6 Pro, you're not just getting a phone and a cable. You're getting the case, colour matched to the phone. You're getting the 100-watt charger as well. So I guess when you factor that in, there's a saving in there as well, because the Samsung, you have to buy the 45-watt charger. Yeah, that's the other thing. The Samsung, if we are just comparing while I'm talking about it, it's half the charging speed. So it's double the time to charge your phone, but the battery life is outstanding on both phones. So that's been my full review of the OPPO Find X6 Pro. If you have any questions about the device, please leave a comment down below. However, this will be my last time holding this device essentially. Straight after hitting stop on this video, it's going in a box and it's getting sent to that lucky buyer. If you've enjoyed this video, you know what to do. And until next time, take care and peace.